holding on to. It didn't last long. He was like, oh, the school murdered him, and I murdered him, but they still died. We're free to do what we want. Not me. And you know what kid told me? She said that incident was connected with an underground website that's gotten real popular at this school. Oh, I think I heard about that on the news a while back. Profiles being used for bullying and to find dates? Is that kind of stuff still going on? Tinder. Well, the news stopped covering it, but it's still happening from what I hear. I wonder if my kid goes on any websites like that. Maybe I should talk to him about it. It was late afternoon, right around the time students were returning home from school. And here I was again, standing right in front of the intercom at the door to Seiko's house. I'd been here for over an hour now, standing, staring, wondering whether to push that button. I must have looked really suspicious, especially since I'd been here yesterday and the day before too, and each time I wound up just going home. But today would be different. That's what I told myself. Today I'd actually push that intercom button. I was ready to face my demons. Okay. Hey, you two can't just run off like that. That was you, Seiko's younger brother. Alright, line up. Make sure you got your shoes on tight. There we go. Straighten that hat. Very good. I think we're ready now. Take my hands, please. Now, you think you two can behave at the market? Okay, Aya? You bet. That's what I like to hear. I made sure I hid out of sight while they were leaving the house. You and those other two kids were definitely Seiko's younger siblings. They were the reason I'd come. They were the ones I wanted to see. I had no idea what I'd say to them, but I knew for sure that Seiko existed, so I had to say something. Maybe I'd show them the cell phone picture and tell them, hey, this is your sister, and ask if they remember anything about her. It would be okay. I just needed to explain myself. They'd understand. They had to. I'd made up my mind. Now I was the perfect chance. I stepped out from my hiding place. Hey, but barely made out a single word before I felt someone grab my arm from behind, holding me back. Who's there? Don't do this. Don't do it. Class rep. I understand where you're coming from, but you can't do this. Our class rep, Shinozaki, was shaking her head at me. She was determined to stop me from confronting Seiko's family. My vision was starting to blur. What do you plan to say to them? You know how it's going to turn out. But... I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. I squatted on the ground and looked up at the class rep, who was staring back at me with equally glassy eyes. Why would only the face disappear, not the whole person from the picture, though? It's just like, I don't know, it's just the lore of the game. They only lose their faces in the pictures. And it comes into play. You'll see it actually matters if this is what I think it is. There were only a handful of people in the world who could truly understand what I was going through. Only those of us who returned from Heavenly Host Elementary alive. Only Shinozaki, Satoshi, Kishinuma, and Yuka. And for those who lost their lives there, Seiko, Suzumoto, Morishige, and Mrs. Shishido, we came back to find that their very existence was wiped clean from this world entirely. Nakashima, hey. I was walking home, defeated and dejected, with the class rep at my side when she suddenly addressed me. It sounded like she wanted to tell me something. I've been doing research these last couple of weeks at the library, looking up information about the Shinozaki estate. That's the house where Yoshi and Sachiko Shinozaki lived, the place that the beings in control of Heavenly Hosts once called home. You might recall that the newspaper articles we found about the kidnapping and murder incident gave precious little information about Sachiko. And aside from local papers, nobody even bothered covering the news about Yoshi's death at all. Digging up this information was no small feat. She was looking down at her feet and kept a steady, quiet tone the whole time she was talking. It seemed like this was all leading up to something. But she was kind of an expert when it came to ghosts and the occult and such, so I trusted her. I wanted to know where she was going with this. It seems Yoshi Shinozaki's former home is here, in this prefecture. It's in the outskirts, by the mountains. Her home? Like Yoshi's and Sachiko's? Yep, right in our backyard. It's that close? Yeah, Heavenly Host once stood where Kisaragi is now, after all. And since Yoshi Shinozaki worked there, it makes sense her home wouldn't be too terribly far away. Naho mentioned it in her notes too, remember? That's where she salvaged the original Sachiko proxy for the ritual. So, yeah, seems like a good place for us to find something, don't you think? The origin of the Shinozaki family's curse rests within these walls, and I believe there must be some clue there that could help shed some light on it. She had my full attention now. I swallowed hard, as if I was taking it all in. I got an address, too. If we take the train, we could be there in less than an hour. So what do you say, Nakashima? Let's go check it out. Right now. The Shinozaki estate. I was haunted by memories of Heavenly Host, and this would entail visiting the source of it all where the danger would be far greater. Yet somehow... Lead on, class rep. It was right around 4:30 in the afternoon. The day was already cooling into night, and the sun would surely be setting shortly after we arrived at our destination. But neither of us really cared. I just wanted to be there as soon as humanly possible. If there were even the slightest chance of finding answers, I'd welcome it. The two of us went right to the station and hopped on the very next train we could find out to the countryside, grasping at straws for all we were worth. I began to wish she'd gone back to change clothes before we'd left. But if I'd done that, I'd have to explain to Mom where I was going, and I sincerely doubt she would have been amenable to the idea. I could have always just gone anyway, of course, but then I'd be directly disobeying my mother and undoubtedly making her worry sick about me. The class rep and I were seated next to each other on a local commuter train I'd never ridden before. There were only 2 other passengers. Much like us, they were simply staring down at the ground and riding in silence, lost in their own thoughts. These last couple weeks had been brutal. All 5 of us who survived were feeling it. We were more exhausted than we'd ever been in our entire lives. But no matter how crazy people said we were, no matter how much our souls ached from the memories, we could never forget Seiko and the others. Every photo we had of them, though, be it on film or digital, had had its face blacked out completely. And the scariest, saddest thing I could imagine was the passage of time, because eventually I knew I'd have trouble remembering what they looked like. Listen, I want to run something by you. We're the only ones who have any memory of Miss Yui, Suzumoto, Shinohara, and Morishige, right? Because if you die in Heavenly Host, it's as if you never existed in the first place. You're erased from the collective memory of everyone in the real world. Why was she bringing this up? I just looked down at my knees, trying unsuccessfully to fight back the tears that were welling up in my eyes yet again. Well, have a look at this. Naho's nods to the netherworld. It's just that Spirit Medium Girl's blog, right? Doesn't anything seem odd about it to you? The blog's final entry was the one detailing the Sachiko Ever After ritual, but we already knew that. There were no updates after it because... Wait, didn't Naho die? Ask an artist to draw them on paper so they won't forget their faces. Well, they don't have a reference picture. The artist won't be able to, do it perfectly. It would be like a police sketch. Right. The class rep nodded and looked into my eyes. Naho lost her life in Heavenly Host Elementary School just like everyone else. But how can that be? I'm not sure of the reason, but this is proof positive. Proof that not everyone who dies in the school gets erased from existence. I checked on her mentor, Mr. Kibiki, too. He also died in Heavenly Host, but just like Naho, there's still ample record of his existence. I was literally on the edge of my seat, leaning in close and hanging on to her every word. She flashed me a smile. From memory, but it's better than nothing. True! So let's not give up hope, okay? Okay. I was crying hard now, but for the first time since we'd come back, I could see the tiniest, faintest glimmer of hope in the darkness. Plus, Naomi and Seiko have the exact same face. You could layer them on top of each other, it's the same face. They just have slightly different hair. So, it's like, if you ever wonder, Naomi, just look in the mirror. I want to see if I can find a good reference picture for that. Let's see. Why is it pulling up watches? What do watches have to do with this? Can I look at it full screen? Oh, it just brings me to Pinterest, but I guess I can zoom in on Pinterest, and then I'll put it on display capture. Oh, yeah, you can't see it. Like, look at their faces. It's the exact same face. Like, even, like, the way that their jaw curves in is the same. Naomi's head is just tilted a little bit. Like... and slightly different hair parts. But yeah, it's the same face. Wait, why did my game capture go away? Game capture. I broke it. Okay, I'll just have it on display capture, I guess, for now. They're the same face, same eyes. What the hell? How are they not siblings? I know, exactly. I was crying hard now, but for the first time since we'd come back, I could see the tiniest, faintest glimmer of hope in the darkness. It wasn't much to go on, but it was easily the best news I'd heard in 2 weeks. And it made me feel a lot better to know this impromptu trip. Even just this one vague clue improved our chances of finding something at the Shinozaki estate significantly. At least now we knew what to look for. Now arriving at Kishi Station. Guess we're here, man. Oh, guess we're here. Man, we're really out in the boonies, aren't we? The air smells so delicious. It's nice, isn't it? And we were fortunate to get here while there's still some light left. We should find the estate before it gets dark. Yeah. This was the end of the line, a desolate farming community with nothing but farmhouses and fields as far as the eye could see. There was only one main road, and due to the mountainside setting of this picturesque village, it maintained a gradual upward slope the whole way. Not a lot of people around. Yeah, and here I was kind of hoping we could meet with one of the locals and ask some questions. Evidently, the Shinozaki family had a lot of clout here once, and were held in high esteem. They have a lot of clout, guys. Really? Since you're a Shinozaki too, I wonder if you have some distant ancestry in common with them or something. I guess it's possible. But there are an awful lot of Shinozakis in Japan, you know. Yeah, that's true. So, are we going the right way? I think it's this way, yeah. But to be honest, the address I found didn't have a house number, so I'm not entirely sure. Oh, but what about your cell phone? Doesn't it have that GPS thing? Can't we use that to figure out where we're going? I already tried, but it looks like there's no map data on file for this area, which is actually very strange. Bunk, bunk, bunk. If you say so. The road was paved the whole way, but it was full of cracks and holes, resulting in countless tiny pebbles and patches of sand crunching under our feet. And the darker it got, the more noticeable the sound of the uneven terrain became. There was something unsettling about the idea of 2 schoolgirls in uniform walking through a strange, largely deserted village at the cusp of twilight. Hey, I really think we should stop and ask someone for directions. How about we pay that house a visit? She was pointing to one of the isolated farmhouses directly in front of us. Sounds good. It is getting dark after all. Let's pick up the pace. Excuse me. Hello? Maybe they're not home. Let's try someplace else. Okay. That scared the crap out of me. What was that? Yeah, I don't like this. Let's get away from here. I know it's a little unsettling, but if we don't get some information, we'll never find the place. So, come on, let's try asking about that one. This time she was pointing to a slightly more inviting-looking residence nearby, sporting a blue roof. Hello? Hello, is anybody home? Yes? Good evening, miss. We're a bit lost and would be very grateful if you could help us find our way. I could see the figure of a middle-aged woman through the frosted glass door. I wasn't sure if she was actually going to open it for us, given that we were strangers and she was, by all appearances, a woman alone in an isolated house. What's all this, then? Oh, good evening. I'm sorry to bother you so late. We've come all the way from Fujisawa, and we're trying to find a certain residence. Oh Oh my, what cute little visitors. And coming all this way with the sun going down, no less. You can feel that they appreciate each other's company now more after they survived their ordeal, for sure. They're like bonded forever. Thank goodness. She seemed like a perfectly normal, perfectly kind old woman. I took my place next to the class rep and bowed my head in respect. So where is it you're trying to go then? I'm trying to reach this address, but I don't have a house number. This is all I know. Let's see. What business do you have at the Shinozaki estate? Actually, we're investigating something, right? Oh, yeah, that's right. It's for a school assignment. The old lady's demeanor changed in an instant. She made herself as large as she could and began pushing us out of her home. Miss, is something wrong? Get out. Go on, get out of here. What? What was that all about? Just seeing the word Shinozaki estate seemed to send her in the deep end. This could be a problem. The day was fading fast. The sky was still blue for now, but it was getting darker by the minute. Streetlights were popping on all around us. Let's just try to find another house. There must be someone around here who will tell us what we need to know. Yeah, you'd think. That old lady is still standing there, right inside the door. Oh God, you're right. Why? Is she still watching us? Let's go, okay? This is getting really creepy. She seemed like such a kind old woman, too, when she first answered the door. But now, just... I'm saying this all in the wrong intonations. I'm reading too fast. She seemed like such a kind old woman, too, when she first answered the door. But now she just felt menacing. The sudden change was almost staggering. 6:30, huh? Yeah. We walked for quite a while after that. The fields and trees were becoming more plentiful, while houses were becoming a much rarer sight. The road's incline had gotten a lot steeper, too. We were literally climbing a mountain now, and the likelihood of finding the house we sought, or any house at all, seemed to be lessening with every step. Car coming, watch out, Nakashima. Thanks. We pushed ourselves against the guardrail and waited for the car approaching from behind to pass by before we continued our trek. Hey, what are a couple of schoolgirls doing in a place like this? It's dangerous to be walking in the road, you know. The mini pickup pulled up alongside us, and an older gentleman stuck his head out the window. He seemed like a sociable sort. We're actually looking for the Shinozaki residence, if you have any idea where that is. Shinozaki? Yeah, the old Shinozaki estate. It's up that way, deep in the mountains. Just up ahead? Yep. Well, that's good. We've been going the right way after all. Yeah, but it's a ways in there. If you's walking, it's best to take a good long while. Dunno what business you got in a place like that, but hop in if you want, I'll take you up. The class rep and I looked at one another square in the eyes. He seemed a little shady, but it was getting pretty late, and as they say, beggars can't be choosers. We couldn't get another opportunity like this. So, we thanked the old man and got in his truck. This is how people die. This is how people die. Ayumi does not look happy. Truck's supposed to be a 3-seater, but it's kind of crowded. Sorry about that. It's quite alright. We're very grateful. If we'd kept on walking, it would have been nighttime before we knew it. Well, I sure ain't got a lot of business up at the old Shinozaki estate with the mountain these days. Why are you two looking to go up there anyhow? Well, I'm not really sure how to put it. Let's just say there's some information we're trying to find. Information? About a nurse who used to live there a long time ago. A woman named Yoshi Shinozaki. Oh yeah, back in the day it used to be a home-run clinic, it did. Lots of people went up there all the time. But nobody goes near it anymore. Dunno what kind of shape it'll be in it. We just kept driving farther up the mountain path, and the higher we got, the rougher the ride became. Road maintenance was clearly not a priority here. With 4 tires on 4 different elevations at any given point in time, the whole truck was being rocked to its core. Ow. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Just glad I'm wearing my seatbelt. This is quite the road, isn't it, mister? The old man's driving was starting to frighten me. I could see Ayumi's head bouncing up and down, and it honestly felt like we were in a runaway vehicle. Mister, aren't you going a little fast? My heart was beating a mile a minute. That was a person on the road, wasn't it? The class rep and I had both gone pale. We looked over at the old man. It's okay, whatever it was, I didn't hit it. I know, what the hell. What? Believe me, you hit a person or an animal on the road, it makes a bigger noise than that. This old man seemed to have gone a little weird now as well. Much like the old women in town, he started off so kind and helpful. Who was that? In the road? I don't know. Hey, end of the line. Can't go no further by car. You're gonna have to hoof it. You going or you want me to drive you back? Thanks very much, sir. I'll be waiting here for you. Just come back down when you're done, okay? I can't rightly leave two little girls out here by themselves after all. Thank you for your consideration. Class rep, you okay? That was scary. There was definitely something strange about him, but he did say he'll wait for us, so I think he's a good person where it counts. Yeah, I guess you're right. The sun was setting rapidly and evening was in full stride. And at the top of this uncompromisingly steep road sat Yoshi Shinazaki's home and clinic. Oh, look! It plateaus up ahead. Is that the place? We finally made it. Is this? There's nothing here. This had to be the place, the site of the Shinozaki estate, but there was no house here anymore. The building was torn down, it was just an empty lot. And after, we came all this way, too. Wait, hold up, look over there. Is that a barn? You're right, I wonder why this was spared if the estate wasn't. It was a small barn on the edge of the property, and remarkably, when I flipped the light switch, the lights actually came on. It still had electricity. You don't find any of this sus? Is this possible? Yeah, it's kind of giving me the creeps. Despite our misgivings, we'd gone far outside our comfort zone to get here, so we set about searching the mysterious barn for any answers. It's a hemp sack that's filled to the brim with some kind of grain, probably feed for farm animals. Guess they had chickens or something here. Yeah. What else is there? This? It's a large drum that seems to have once been used for burning waste products. Nothing but soot and ash in here. I wonder what was burned here. I don't know. Looks like plain old ash to me, but it could have been anything. Damn, what kind of shady business they got going on in that barn? Yeah. Why does the one light still work? It's an old, worn-out blanket that someone seems to have left here. Somebody from the outside must have sought shelter in here at some point. Oh yeah, maybe. I guess just getting in out of the wind isn't always enough. And it is starting to get kind of cold in here with the sun down. Yeah. There's a mess of old cardboard boxes here, along with rusted toolbox and any number of other odds and ends. There doesn't seem to be anything particularly useful in, on, or among any of them, however. Hey look, this box has Shinozaki 1 written on it. You're right, I guess that means this really was Yoshi Shinozaki's house at some point. We spent another half hour or so rifling through the barn from floor to ceiling, looking for anything we could possibly find that might help us. I don't see a single thing in here that sheds any light on Yoshi or Sachiko Shinozaki at all. It's full-on night outside, too, and we've kept that poor old man waiting long enough. It seemed like a waste to leave here empty-handed, but we'd done all we could. For today, at least, it was time to start heading home. Can't believe that's all that's left is a barn. Yeah. We should come back tomorrow a little earlier. I'd like to try talking to more of the locals. Sounds like a plan. It felt like the sun had been setting forever, but now it was nowhere in sight. The wooded mountains all around us were cloaked in a veil of darkness. There weren't any lights to help guide our path either, so we really couldn't see where we were going. Man, it's dark. Was this the way that we came? We need to find our way back to the road. I think that's it, though. Since I remember just walking straight toward the barn. Class rep, look! Nestled among the branches just beyond a small grove of trees, the inside lights of the tiny truck shone like a beacon in the night. It's the old man's truck! Yeah, it has to be. Thank goodness. I didn't much like the idea of getting stranded in the woods. There was something oddly fulfilling about getting out and actually doing something. Success or no, it feels so much more fruitful than moping about at home. I didn't care if this was a fool's errand. As long as I kept moving, day after day, it felt like I could move on. It wasn't hope, it was purpose. She's saying this out loud. Seiko taught me that. Sorry to keep you waiting. Huh? Oh, wait, where's the old man? Maybe we were gone too long for him. I mean, it is cold, but maybe he had to, you know. She began scratching her head and blushing a bit, clearly embarrassed at the suggestion. Oh yeah, maybe. Well, he left the engine running, so he should be back soon. Let's just wait for him. It's so chilly out here, though. My stomach's freezing. I'm sure he wouldn't mind if we waited inside the truck, right? That's true. Okay then, class reps first. Huh? No good, it's locked. Well, that sucks. Guess we don't have much choice. Let's just wait out here. It's so cold outside. What time is it anyway? 8:17. About right time for cold night air, really. The old man's not coming back, is he? So what do we do? It was so dark we couldn't even see the road, and climbing all the way back down would require far more of a hike than we were prepared for. Ooh, think of something else? Let's think. Let's ponder it out. I noticed this when we were in the truck coming up here, but there was an awful lot of spots along the road where the guardrail is out. There were indeed. I could easily imagine being blissfully unaware that we were near the edge of the road, then slipping and falling down the mountain. And since there are no lights, walking seems pretty dangerous, don't you think? You have a point. We should probably just keep waiting. If the old man is off... Oh, no choice for us. I'm sorry, Beater. I apologize. If the old man is off doing his business, then he'll probably be back any minute now. Yeah, it is cold, but I say we wait. Shout out the window, drive that thing home. Exactly. So we waited, and eventually a half an hour had passed, still with no sign of the old man's return. Where on earth could he be? I don't think he's coming back. But he even left the engine running. The only sound either of us could hear in this dense, dark forest was that of the truck's engines idling away. If you're cold, you should, like, lean on the hood. Like, hug the car. So what do we do? At this rate, we'll never get home. Phone's out of range, so we can't call anybody. I guess our only choice is... Nakashima, what do you think about returning to that barn? I mean, it's got light at least. Why the barn? Well, if we can't get back down the mountain tonight, we should at least take shelter and rest until morning, don't you think? It just seems safer than staying here. So we're going to spend the night? I shuddered at the thought of spending the whole night on this cold, dark mountain, but she was right. We really didn't have much of a choice. I agreed with her that this was the only real course of action that made sense, but safer than staying here? Yeah, I just get a bad feeling from this road, or from this whole mountain, really. It's like there's some kind of presence, and our best bet for dealing with it is to go someplace well lit and get out of the elements. You feel a presence? Is it something we should be afraid of? I don't know. I'm not even sure if it's a person or something else. And it could be one presence or many. All I can really say is that we're being watched. Okay, then let's hurry up and get back to that barn. Finding ourselves left with no other choice, we put the road behind us and began walking up the dirt path leading back to the Shinozaki family's barn. However, was the barn this far from the road before? This is weird. It's really weird. It's like the road leading up to it just vanished. Does this mean we're... Wait, don't wander off. Sorry. Come on, let's try retracing our steps. We'll just turn around and go back the way we came. Sounds good to me. We are going the right way, aren't we? Shouldn't we be seeing the road soon? Where are we? Oh god, no. We're lost. Lost in the middle of the damned forest. What? Yes, we were definitely lost. There were literally nothing but coniferous trees as far as the eye could see, in every direction. Dark, looming trees. Their tall, thin forms were casting a web of shadows all along the mountainside, obscuring our vision of anything at all outside our immediate surroundings. Don't you have a compass on your phone? Yeah, but it won't work. It uses GPS. Oh, it does? Why can't this stupid thing get any location data? God, what good is it if it craps out on me when I need it the most? Land of living? Did you just hear a voice? I couldn't make out what it was saying, but yeah, that sounded like a person. Maybe it was just the wind in the trees, though. Woohoo! At any rate, we need to find our way off this mountain. Do you have any ideas? I mean, we shouldn't just wander aimlessly. And that's true. If we got lost in the mountains, they say you should never head toward low ground. I didn't know that. The best course of action is probably just to stay in a place and wait for daybreak, but it's cold and we have no tent. Maybe if we huddle together. That's fine, but I'm good to walk at least a little longer, so how about we keep at it for a little bit? If we get near enough to the road, we might see the truck. Okay. I swear we've walked right by these trees already. But there's no way we could be walking in circles, is there? Ayumi's getting yeah, they're getting PTSD from the school for sure, especially with the voices. And Ayumi can be in tune with the ghosts and stuff, and she said she felt multiple presences. But there's no way we could be walking in circles, is there? Everything looked the same up here, no matter where we went. We both began to wonder if we were making any progress at all. Oh, Miller sent me a commercial to watch afterwards. He said, this episode of Corpse Party reminds me of this commercial. I gotta watch that after this. Over there! I heard something. Huh? Where? Where was it? I meant Ayumi. I said, oh, you're fine. I was saying Ayumi too. Waguchi. Wrestles. God, what next? What was that? Ow. We kept clinging to the faint hope that we might soon emerge from these endless woods, but all that got us was good 2 hours worth of slogging. The rough terrain was killing our legs, and our stamina had been worn down to the bone. I can't move anymore. The class rep plopped herself down on a bed of dry leaves on the ground, and just as she did... Whoa, class rep, look! Huh? Beyond the silhouette of the many conifers at the edge of our vision, a faint light could be seen. We're saved! Thank you, Nakashima. Thank you for noticing that. No problem, let's go. We were both dead tired, and our legs hurt like hell, but we forgot all of that. We forgot all of that at the sight of a possible salvation, and just took off running. As it happens, the barn we'd been looking for all this time was the source of the light. Those naked light bulbs shone like beacons in the night sky. Thank God. Oh, it's the barn. I thought it was going to be the old man's truck. Yeah, me too, but this is even better. The barn is what we were looking for after all. But I don't remember leaving the lights on when we left, do you? We should have shut them off, yeah. But it's certainly possible we didn't. Well, if we're the ones who left them on, then we just saved our own asses, so I guess I should thank goodness for small favors. All we had to do was push through some undergrowth as tall as we were, and then we'd be here. Some undergrowth as tall as we were, and then we'd be there. Seems like we'd somehow circled around to the back of the lot. We made it. Let's go inside, shall we? Sure, man. I keep doing that. Sure. Man, just having light makes all the difference in the world, doesn't it? My phone's clock was showing just past 10:40. I started thinking about home, and about how much my mom was worrying by now. Feeling a bit saddened, I hesitated at the barn door, when all of a sudden... The class rep let out a nearly voiceless cry of absolute shock. She was staring into the darkness just past the building and shuddering in terror. What's wrong? Nakashima, look. Right next to the barn. What I saw there was something that couldn't be. Something far beyond my imagination and comprehension alike. Is it the mansion? Is the mansion there now? It only comes out at night. I called it. Leaning forward hurt so bad. That's... what? How can it be? There, where the Shinozaki estate once stood, in what was once nothing more than an abandoned lot only a few hours earlier, an old, humble residence now rose above us. It seemed almost to be floating in the air, but it was very clearly an actual corporeal building. The two of us stood there staring at it for several minutes, completely dumbfounded. Why? It wasn't there this evening, was it? It wasn't. It definitely wasn't. But... so why is it there now? How should I know? It's like the song that freaks come out at night. I had goosebumps all over my body, and a cold sweat began tracing lines down my back. Is it just me, or is it glowing? What are we even looking at? Aside from its more ethereal qualities, it was just an old, beat-up, two-story farmhouse. But sure enough, the nameplate on the door read Shinozaki. This was, without a doubt, the house where Yoshi and Sachiko Shinozaki lived. Oh god, you're hyperventilating! Are you alright? The class rep raised a hand to stop me from intervening. I'm okay, but thank you. I just have to keep my mouth closed, and it'll pass. Hey, Nakashima? I think now's our chance. What? We came here to learn the secrets of the Shinozaki estate, and, well, here we are. It's inviting us in. It's daring us to look around. You mean go in there? I know, it's really scary, but we can't turn back now. Gazing at the imposing structure, she took a deep breath. Then, after collecting herself, she walked right up to the front door and tried sliding it open. It gave no resistance at all. Let's go. Wait! It's cool looking doors. No good. The Phantom Estate house had no power, it seemed. Well, duh, it's a phantom house. It's not hooked up to the power grid. The barn still has working lights, but not the main house? Fortunately, there was a flashlight on a nearby table. The class rep picked it up and switched it on, illuminating the wall across from the entrance. It's very convenient that there was just a flashlight there for us. Not that there was much to see. The entranceway itself was extremely small, breaking off to the right as a solid wooden door. Just a few steps in. A quick pan to the left, then revealed the steep hardwood staircase leading up, and that was pretty much the entire room. Be careful. Gotta stretch that face. Ow. Gotta do my... Got a point, B-Day. Be careful. The energy in here is strong. She'd gone completely pale. I could tell just by looking at her that she'd sensed something. Her eyes shone with a mixture of terror and determination. It's much darker than Heavenly Host. The energy in this house is jet black. Really? Clip it. We've done it before on stream, Miller. We talked about it before, that it helps. Don't let your guard down, not for 1 second. Thinking back, our first steps into this house were basically the start of it all. It was at that point when we'd left the world of the ordinary far behind. Simply being able to see these walls, these floors, these ceilings with our naked eyes directly defied the laws of nature. The house itself was a ghost. Literally anything could happen in here. I knew that, and I was doing everything I could to brace myself for the trials ahead. But the fear was still there, and the shaking wouldn't stop. See, it helps. Look how much better I'm already doing. I don't really know how to explain it, but there's something like a literal wave of emotional turmoil cutting right through the air in here. It's pretty deeply ingrained, too. I wonder what happened before this place was torn down. Oh, it's the What? I have a search mode in this house? What is this? What? The shoe shelves are full of dead rats. And each one of them, without exception, has had its stomach dug out. Maybe they ate each other. Hopefully they ate each other. Window? The glass is thoroughly clouded over, making it impossible to see outside. In addition, the window has no handles or grips of any kind, suggesting it was never meant to be opened. Okay, closet? Oh. Not a closet. It's a Japanese-style floor toilet. Every part of it is distressingly filthy, and there are spider webs strung up all along the inside. There's blood on the floor here. I guess even after you escape the heavenly host, you can still run into a haunted place. They know. You're always trapped. It's old and dried out, thankfully, but you do have to wonder why nobody would have bothered wiping it up. Have you seen the whole house? The house is destroyed. The drain is packed tightly with what look to be thousands of bodies of unidentifiable insects. Nothing? Oh? The window is located surprisingly high up along the wall, revealing only a view of the night sky. Okay, bath? It's open. This window seems to be facing the moon right now, and is letting in a surprising amount of ambient light. I was doing better. It's an old soaking tub with water heater feeding into it. The heater is clearly broken and the tub is half filled with green, stagnant water and bugs. Gross. Ah! Don't look into the water! Yoshi and Sachiko aren't the only spirits in here. This place was also used as a psychiatric clinic, so we may have to contend with old patients as well. Great! Now we're playing Outlast. It's an old-fashioned wooden bathtub cover. It looks extremely brittle and is rotted through completely, sporting numerous holes and missing or warped beams. Okay. Hall. Nothing in the hall? Nothing in there either? Oh? Oh, another heavenly host notice? Please wait here for your name to be called. Please help yourself to some tea. Wait here? I guess that makes sense. Yoshi did run a clinic from this house after all. Oh! Mr. Yukamura?
Hi.
Yes. What seems to be the problem? Me too, buddy. He's making the ghosty noises. I wonder if this part of the game is what inspired the other Corpse Party spin-offs to change location. Maybe. Clip what? Because I was doing face stretches. Don't clip it, Emma. There are various medicine bottles scattered here and there on the shelves. It's a coffee table with a missing leg. Curious, you scan the immediate area for the wooden leg, but find that it's nowhere in sight. This used to be a floor cushion for people to sit at the coffee table, but all the cotton stuffing has been removed, leaving only the cloth skin behind. Is that supposed to be, like, symbolic? Pieces of cloth have been haphazardly tossed into this box. There also seem to be a few rolled up newspapers, but they're absolutely crawling with assorted bugs. Probably best not to touch them. The drawers open easily and seem overall to be in remarkably good shape considering their age. The only things inside, however, are old playing cards with a star, circle, and triangle patterns on their back. Each of these drawers seems stuck to its frame, as if it's been glued shut. There's no obvious way to open any of them. These old boxes are packed with various odds and ends, including tiny toy rings and a few old yen bills. The rings are practically black with crusted on dust and dirt, however, and the money is covered in mold. Oh? It's a gas-burning hot water heater. Every part of it is rusted, perfectly illustrating its age. There's absolutely no chance it still works. It's an old-fashioned gas range. Its surface is stained with oil. The cabinet is filled with small dishes and utensils intended for use by young children. Each is printed with cutesy bunny or cat designs. Miller wants the bunny plates. The handles to these cabinet doors and drawers are all missing. Sounds of skittering bugs can be heard from within. Probably best to leave them closed. The cabinet below the sink is off its hinges, and a few rusted together pots are hanging out of it. The odor given off by them is stomach churning. It's an old model refrigerator. Post-Icebox era, but definitely not modern in any way. It seems to be completely empty inside. They're the same thing, I assume? Okay. Can't go in there. Oops. Go up the stairs? These stairs sure don't feel safe. Ow. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. The floorboards here are pretty well rotted through though, so be really careful. Best to hang onto the wall for leverage as you go. It's so weird. This is a house that shouldn't even exist. But we can touch everything, we can pick it all up. It's all real. I seem to recall reading about cases before where the house itself is basically just a spiritual echo, but this seems totally different. Oh, 3 bedrooms. They ballin' up in here. I don't even have 1 bedroom, I just have a studio. This particular bedroom looks like it's been converted into a study? Seems out of place, considering the family. Whose study was it? What, Yoshi Shinozaki can't have a study? The bookshelf is full of old books that have been thoroughly wrecked with age. Every one of them is yellowed, musty, and falling apart. It's the frame to an old mirror that's long since been busted out. Where the looking glass once stood, there's now a creepy drawing of an old woman. It's just a rough sketch, but it looks absolutely realistic, as if it could just up and jump out of the frame at any moment. One of its right legs has been bent beyond repair, and there's a thick layer of dust piled on top of it. No one's been sitting here for a long, long time. Oh. The desk is piled high with dust, but the items situated on it are neat and tidy. Whoever used it was very organized. Huh? Right in the middle of the desk sits a lone key, completely covered in dried blood. Take it? Yeah, always take the keys. I don't see any dried blood on it. Ow. Acquired key to Yoshi's room. Oh, neat. Wait. Do you hear something? It sounded like footsteps echoing through the wooden frame of the house. Specifically, like somebody with leather shoes walking around on the first floor. It's very specific. The class rep and I looked at one another and shuddered. After a moment, the footsteps then began loudly stomping up the stairs. It's coming toward us. We have to hide. We scrambled against the wall of the room, leaving the door ever so slightly ajar so we could survey the staircase. There really is something in here with us. Something walking around the halls. God, I can't take this anymore. The constant, unrelenting pressure of this search was beginning to take its toll on me. The class rep, sensing my agitation, took my hand in hers. Keep it together, Nakashima. Stay strong. Remember, Heavenly Host. If we allow these holes to form in our hearts, we'll just fall prey to the darkening. You're right. Thank you. There's no longer anything of interest on the desk. There's no longer anything of interest on the desk? What? Well, it was worth a shot. Okay, well, is that everything that I can see? I guess so. This bedroom? The door is locked. But it looks like the key from the other room fits. There were photos of Sachiko all over the room. Virtually everywhere there was space for them. Her mother clearly held her very dear. I don't see none. You talking about those? That is not with virtually no space left. Picture after picture, each depicting some happy moment in the Shinozaki family's life. Yoshi's overwhelming love of Sachiko came through in every shot. What is that all about? The photographs depicting the Shinozaki women were all fine, but those that showed Sachiko with both her parents were a bit different. So, In each one of them, the man who was presumably Yoshi's husband had had his face completely blacked out with ballpoint pen. That has to be Sachiko's dad, right? But why? Looking around the room, it really was every single photograph that depicted this man. His face was inked out in literally every picture. So maybe he died in real life. Ow. Got an itch, sorry. Let's see. So what's this now? It appeared to be an embedded wall safe with a circular padlock and a panel of buttons comprised of the digits 0 through 9. Let me see. This looks almost like some kind of vault, doesn't it? We tried pressing buttons at random in hopes of opening the lock by pure chance, but that didn't do a thing. Following the spin clockwise indicator etched into the steel safe, we tried spinning the lock itself as well, but had no luck with that either. What'd you miss? Like, the Shinozaki house is a ghost itself, and we are now in the Shinozaki estate. In fact, as soon as the lock made one full rotation, all the buttons we'd pressed in suddenly popped back out. So we're dealing with a combination-locked safe surrounded by photos of Sachiko from when she was still alive. If Yoshi's the one who set the combination, it's probably safe to assume it has something to do with Sachiko. You know, you're absolutely right. It must be something really simple. Whoever used this safe would have chosen something they wouldn't forget after all. It must be Sachiko's birthday. The question is, what would that something be? We tried a handful of different combinations based on homonyms, rhyming, and the like. But every time, we just spin the lock, hear a metallic thunk, and watch as the numbers reset on us. Sachiko, come on, think. We made it back from Heavenly Host Elementary alive. Ouch. So there must be some tidbit of knowledge we can use. What had we actually learned about Sachiko, though? Number-wise, all I could come up with was an approximate height, and that didn't work. We couldn't just keep pushing through buttons at random, hoping for a lucky break. We had to go about this intelligently. Maybe there was a hint somewhere. Basically a paranormal, murderous Scooby-Doo episode. Yep. It would probably be best to look around the room a little more. There's a tiny kimono in the box, sized for a young girl. The style looks similar to the ones worn in the Sachiko Gosan Festival, which would make this this Shichi Goshan Festival, which would make this Sachiko's for sure. Let's see. The walls are covered in photographs. Among them, any which depict the man who was presumably Yoshi's husband have had his face mysteriously inked out. Okay. Nakashima, look! Up there! Oh, isn't that... Perched high off the ground, a traditional household shrine was affixed to the wall, and within it was easily recognizable paper doll. An offering, I guess. It's enshrined alongside a mirror imitating the shape of Yara no Kagami. This must be the doll that Naho brought back with her. Apparently, the class rep's parting in Heavenly Host with her former role model, Naho, had not been a pleasant one. She looked momentarily distraught. Yeah, because what happened was right before they left, Ayumi had found out the truth about how Naho succumbed to the darkening and had killed Kabiki, and she told Naho that, and they got in a big old fight. Because she knew that Naho had lied on the articles to get people to come in. In front of the enshrined doll, there was a square sheet of yellowed paper containing hand-inked instructions on performing an all-too-familiar ritual. Spirit in the ever after, to confer a dying land upon an offering, one shall meditate upon her name. Please must be spoken in silence a number of times equal to that of all transgressors plus the offering. An avatar for the offering must be torn and split equally amongst the transgressors. If performed correctly, the offering's desired location shall become the land in which she dies. This was the original form of the Sachiko Ever After ritual. So, did Yoshi use Sachiko as an offering in order to make Heavenly Host the land of her death? This would have had to happen while she was still alive, but what was she hoping to accomplish? So, we think that Yoshi performed the Sachiko Ever After charm, and she died at her school. And so that made it like a dimension, and then pulled Sachiko in? So that they would be together or something? I don't know. So maybe Yoshi made the Heavenly Host. Pictures of Sachiko are sprawled out all across the surface on the desk. However, like so many objects in Heavenly Host, they are fixed to its surface as if they were mere decoration. They can't be picked up or even moved. What else are things that we could look at? I think we've looked at everything in here. We should look at this bedroom. Oops. This appears to be a bedroom. The sliding door to the closet is off its tracks, however, and the dresser has been knocked over. The floor is littered with junk, including a desk lamp and numerous bottles of unknown contents, and the closet is packed with old beat-up boxes. This room also seems suspiciously noisy, with cracks and bangs and pops audible throughout. Rapping at my chamber door. Dad! Mom! Mom! Are you okay? The class rep began calling out for her parents, totally out of the blue. I had no idea what was going on. Did I say something? She was grabbing at her head in both hands, and her face was white as a sheet. She must have been the target of a spiritual possession again, like in Heavenly Host. Fortunately, she seemed to be ready for it this time, and was able to collect herself in short order, and once she did, our search resumed. It's a Japanese-style sliding screen, or fusuma. There's a crude crayon drawing visible on it. Did Sachiko do this? It's very abstract, but it looks like something a happy, well-adjusted little kid would draw. Not at all disturbing like the pictures in Heavenly Host. For some reason, the wooden dresser won't budge even the slightest bit. It's as if it were made of solid steel. There's some sort of stain on the back wall of the closet. It kind of looks like it's in the shape of a person, but that's probably just an optical illusion, right? Okay, well, like, what else do I look at? Sort of stain. What do I need to find? Pictures of Sachiko. Pictures of Sachiko. Like, is there... What am I missing? Kimono. What about that kimono? That was from the Shinto Shichigo-san festival for children ages 7, 5, and 3. Age 5 is just for boys, if I recall correctly, and Sachiko was a lot older than 3 in those photos, so how about Sachiko's age 7 all by itself? It was a long shot, but... It was really just 7, the number 7. Wow, nice job, Nakashima! The area of the wall all around the safe opened up like a secret door, with the combination lock holding in place and serving as a doorknob. Beyond the tiny door, a door so small that we had to crawl to fit through it, was a long staircase stretching down into a hidden underground room. Spiderwebs, and the dust here is really thick. Hey, come on, I want to see too. Is this some kind of storehouse, maybe? Oh my god, every time I move, it feels like my, sternum is separating. I tried to get a better look at what we were crawling into, but the stairs went so far down that even with the flashlight, it was just too dark. So, this is a hidden passageway that shouldn't exist, inside a building that shouldn't exist. I think the danger level has reached its peak here. It feels like we're standing at the entrance to some realm that's not even part of this world. The class rep looked me right in the eye. I was scared, but I knew exactly what she was going to say. She didn't need to speak a single word. Even if all that awaited us down here was an unimaginably horrific end, we were standing at the source of the answers we were so desperately seeking. We poised to uncover the truth behind the curse of Sachiko Shinozaki. This was the gate to a new world. If we turned back, we'd regret it for the rest of our lives. So the two of us just looked one another in the eyes and nodded. We were ready to descend this staircase into whatever abyss lurked below. I don't think even Naho made it this far, so be careful, Nakashima. Stay alert and focused down there, no matter what happens. She'd begun descending the stairs ahead of me, but stopped to look back after only a few seconds to issue me with one last warning. I nodded again. It's those same footsteps. There really is something else in here with us, walking around, and it sounds like it's on the second floor. They were extremely close. It sounded as if they were poised just outside the door to Yoshi's room, just a few feet away. Nakashima, down the staircase, hurry! Okay. And so the two of us fled through the secret door and down the stairs. No more hesitation. The wooden steps creaked and groaned beneath us, even more than the ones from the main stairwell. It felt like they might fall apart at any moment. We took one step at a time, swallowing our fear and just pushing onward until eventually, finally, we arrived in a small, damp, musty room underground. Goes from the second floor all the way to underground? Are you alright? There's a lot of junk on the ground here, so be careful where you walk. Okay. There was no light down here with us whatsoever, save for the class rep's shaky flashlight beam, and all that beam revealed for us was a mess of books and clutter. With a twist of the wrist, it then shone upon a desk containing a chaotic mountain of books, loose-leaf notes, documents, and assorted beakers and flasks. It looked like some mad scientist had done research and conducted all manner of untold experiments down here. What's that? It looks like somebody's family tree. The class rep shot over toward a desk farther in, her interest piqued by a glimpse of a large document spread out on its surface. I followed her lead. You need light too, don't you? Sorry. There's a desk over there with saw blades and other sharp tools on it, so it's kind of dangerous. Stay where you are. Genealogy chart. Gifted line? It really is a family tree, but what does it mean by gifted? Shinozaki, Mifume, Shiomara, Mito, Nagao. Oh, I recognize some of these names. That's right. It's not necessarily a lie. There were many individuals born in the closing days of the Meiji period who possessed remarkable powers. These people achieved fame for their thoughtography abilities and psychic talents prior to so-called Senrigan Jikin, or clairvoyance controversy. Chiziku Mufene and Ikoko Nagao were particularly noteworthy figures at the time, and whatever their abilities were real or not is besides the point. What matters is that even after the scientific community discredited such abilities, the truly gifted continued exploring them anyway, often in secret. So, if they're the gifted line, does that mean Yoshi and Sachiko were descended from those famous clairvoyants? It sure seemed that way, and from the looks of it, the Shinozaki line was never blessed with male heirs either. It's a matrilineal house that passed its blood and family name down from mother to daughter, generation after generation, through adopted son-in-laws. I was certain if I traced this family tree far enough, I'd find the names of Yoshi and Sachiko. And there they were. Just like everyone before her, Yoshi had married a man who'd been adopted into the family in order to keep the Shinozaki name. Are you going to try and finish the game today? I am trying because the poll closed today, which means that I'm technically supposed to start with Cyberpunk tomorrow. Looks like the root of the tree is this person named Sira. And Yoshi's mother's name is Rocky? She was the eldest daughter in her family and had no brothers, so that makes Yoshi a thoroughbred, a direct, unfiltered descendant of Sarah. I guess it stands to reason, then, that she'd have so much power and influence even as a spirit. The rapping is getting pretty loud in here. A lot of these adopted fathers who contributed the family line suddenly died after their children were born, it seems, without even one single explanation. So, each one, they would have one kid and then kill the dad. Damn, we're gonna stay here till midnight. It's not that long. This is just the prologue that's left. So yeah, nobody found that suspicious that they're basically Black Widows. They'd have their kid and then they'd kill them. It's like the family line had a mind of its own and went to great lengths to eliminate the blood of other lines once it had served its purpose. These are men who were willing to give up their own birthrights and take another's name for the sake of love. It must have been hard on the Shinozaki women. Daddy's not breathing. No, darling, no! I suppose this was a fate that just couldn't be averted. Such a strong spiritual influence. Kane Shinozaki, Hirohito, Ayato. That's my grandmother, my grandfather, and my dad. I remember hearing that my grandfather was adopted into my grandmother's family and passed away shortly after my dad was born. The head of the family had 3 daughters, and Grandma Kane is descended from the youngest. Reminds me of when I'm trying to finish all my homework I didn't start on yet and the due date. You killed 2 massive black widows in a car today? I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Are you gonna tell the client? You should tell the client. Be like, I need a settlement for pain and suffering. That was traumatic. I thought it was creepy enough just having the same last name, but to think my family is actually from the same lineage as Yoshi and Sachiko. Am I gifted then? What does that even mean? Hey, did you find something? It's pitch black and really creepy just standing here, you know. So wait, but she had her dad was born, not a woman. It was her dad. They said passed away shortly after his son was born, which is her dad. Her grandpa passed away shortly after his son was born. But the other side's only women. Yeah, sorry about that. I'll be right there. In fact, fire hazard or no, how about I lend you one of my candles? The class rep had an old, oversized sheet of paper in her hand and was shaking wildly. Did she find some crucial piece of information, I wondered? Guys, they said the name of the game. Guys, that's the name of the video game that we're playing. He said the name of the game, guys. Did you all see? Do you all appreciate it? Whoa, they tied it all together. Class rep? Are you okay? It hurts. My head feels like it's being crushed in a vice. No, stop this. Keep it together. She suddenly turned to one corner of the room and froze completely, gazing intently at the wall. Her eyes became wide as saucers. She was like a cat who stiffened up just kept staring into thin air, on high alert for no discernible reason. And just as cat owners are often left wondering what their pets are seeing, I too wondered if she was looking at something, or had heard a noise maybe? I was worried about her, but really, I was more scared than anything. I grabbed her and tried to shake her out of this disconcerting trance. Class rep, what's wrong? Ow. But she brushed me off and held up a hand as if to say, hold it right there. She then began walking, slowly, toward the corner she'd been watching. There didn't seem to be anything special about it. It looked no different from anything else in the room. It was just an ordinary wall. For a few moments longer, the class rep just stood there, gazing at this empty space. Then, with no explanation, she began tearing away loose floorboards. It wasn't difficult to do. The entire room was old and in tremendous disrepair, and the wood was quite thoroughly rotted. Each board came off easily. Eventually, small gaps began to form. She stuck her fingers into these and pulled, yanking away whole chunks of wall, forming bigger and bigger crevices. These crevices finally merged into one big, gaping hole through which a hidden subroom no bigger than a closet had now been fully exposed. And within that subroom sat a thick, dark tome. And the candle's already lit. How nice. It's the Book of Shadows! Why is this in Japan? What's going on? What's the Book of Shadows? Whatever it was clearly a very old book and didn't look like it was bound from paper. There were small ornamental patterns sewn into it, all of which had a certain disconcerting quality about them. It's the Book of Shadows! Guys, it's the video game! In addition, a liquid that looked just as much like blood as it did ink had pulled into multi-hued stains all across the lip of the front cover. And that grotesque cover was already unpleasant looking enough to begin with. There's no mistaking it. These pages were made from human skin and animal hide. This is, without a doubt about the Book of Shadows. Sis told me about it. It's a dark tome with a long history wrought in blood, passed down from generation to generation in secret. It dates back to the tumultuous days of the witch hunts that occurred in the end of the Middle Ages, primarily in Europe. Witch hunts? Yeah, mass paranoia led to the indiscriminate persecution and slaughter of as many as 40,000 people. They were suspected of practicing black magic by making pacts with the devil. So the churches and local communities brought them to trial, where they were almost always subjected to horrible torture and eventually executed, usually in really cruel ways. People began blaming them for natural disasters, poverty, and other unfortunate realities of life, and influential individuals used them as scapegoats. So that's why she said it was in Japan. Yep. She's like, wait a minute, this was in Europe. The vast majority of those killed were just innocent victims of circumstance who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But there were a few. There were only a few gifted people among them who had legitimately mastered the practical use of magic. I like how they slid in a little panty shot here. Like this, like a sneaky little panty shot. Ow. Gifted people? And what do you mean practical use of magic? Are you talking like witches flying around on brooms and stuff? That's impossible. It is hard to believe, isn't it? But I want you to know everything about this, Ayumi. About the things in this world that science can't quite explain. About the paranormal. I'm already familiar with your studies, though. You taught me the laws of the natural world, and that true nature of magic is prayer. Some fan service? Of course, just a smidgen. You gotta throw in just a smidgen to keep them interested. It's been a while. It makes sense, too. It's really easy to understand how powers like that would work. Are you gonna get the microphone ears and do the ASMR streams? No, I'd be so bad at ASMR because I'd accidentally be loud. But anything more than that, like flying around on brooms and stuff, just seems like fantasy to me. And I'm sure that's what Dad and Mom must have thought too, when I told them I was interested in Wicca. To them, it's all just dangerous fantasy. Though there are also the Shinozaki family roots to consider. But that's a long story, so how about we save it for another time? Okay. Witches, you see, were usually village elders and sages back in the days, conducting themselves with intelligence, dignity, and honor. So, when the witch hunts began, they were smart enough to hide their powers from public view, and as a result, ironically, the majority of them survived. But even after the ban of witchcraft was lifted, the memories of what happened remained, and the black arts continued to be socially shunned. Eventually, the powers of magic began to fade with disuse, and the witches feared that these powers, passed from generation to generation throughout their long, proud history, were in danger of being lost forever. So they began chronicling them on paper, in painstaking detail for all posterity. And that chronicle is right here, the Book of Shadows. Passed from one gifted mage to another, revised and appended countless times. A complete guide to witchcraft, detailing spells pertaining to all creation. Is that her mom? That's her older sister. You may have heard of Al-Azif? That infamous Lovecraftian grimoire that eventually everybody says is just a work of fiction. But whenever the book comes up, even among researchers, people always debate whether or not it's real. They always admit it's a possibility. Supposedly, it contains a complete listing of white and black magic spells, all manner of lost arts, and even some forbidden acts of sorcery. As in, the really dangerous kind of magic. It would be really dangerous in the wrong hands. That's why it was supposed to have been enshrined and kept under watch by the witch's descendants. So why is something like that here then, tucked away in a hidden room in rural Japan? I don't know, but it's been a good half a century or so since anyone's been able to prove they laid eyes on it. And that's led to many people starting to doubt its existence. The class rep suddenly picked up the book and began casually thumbing through it, as if she were looking up a word in the dictionary. Hey, is it really okay to be holding that? Much less opening it? Yeah, it can't hurt to take a quick look. The tome, with its cover that seemed to have been stitched together from the hides of many different animals, looked heavy in the class rep's hands. She became instantly engrossed in its contents as she hungrily flipped through the pages, one after another. As for me, all I could do was watch in awe as my very real friend and classmate lost herself in this very occult book in this very impossible place. As expected, the book was written not in Japanese, but in a mixture of French and what I could only assume to be magic runes of some sort. As a high school student, I certainly couldn't read any of it, nor could the class rep, but some pages had Japanese notes scribbled in the margins. Notes that were very possibly penciled in by Yoshi Shinozaki. I've no idea if there will be Japanese footnotes for it or not, But I'm betting if I look in the sorcery section... The glint in her eyes was one of desperation as she continued flipping through the pages. What was she doing? I was starting to get uncomfortably nervous about this whole thing. Eventually, her legs must have gotten tired as she just sat down on the floor, but she continued paging through the Book of Shadows. Then, finally, she seemed to find whatever she was looking for. The sound of stretched skin flipping upon itself stopped, and she just stared. This is it. What? Land of Corpses. A spell to open the door of the dead. I think this is what created Heavenly Host. There are notes all over it. There certainly are, but why has the whole page been crossed out like that? I don't know. Maybe the spell failed. Maybe whoever was casting it seized up with fear partway through. But that doesn't matter now. Look at this. Look, Nakashima. Raising of Corpses, a spell to resurrect the dead. That can't actually work, can it? Resurrecting the dead is just impossible. Are you still bound by common sense then? Have you forgotten where we are right now? I had to admit, that was a good point. Reality as I knew it was far different now than it was when I woke up this morning. But is it okay for us to do something like that? I mean, ethically? Won't we be crossing a line humans aren't meant to cross? Are you scared? Huh? No, you're not just scared. You're also forgetting about all those people we lost and what they've all been going through. Think about Miss Yui and Suzumoto and Shinohara and Morishige, all at their wits' end, suffering in that horrible place. Think about how painful their deaths were and how their existences were erased from this world. Can you really accept that as reality? You're onto something, Beater. I know I sure can't, and I'm betting the same is true for you. That's right, our friends... Wait, that's right, our friends were dead. They died, and we came here so we could do something about it. And if we didn't do this, nothing would change. They'd still be dead. No hope of ever hearing their voices again. Their faces eventually forgotten. Tears began welling up in my eyes. I miss them so much, and I'd do whatever it took to get them back. I could just see them again. If I could just see them again, I could talk to Seiko just one more time. It's okay. It's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. We climbed our way out of that hell. We broke free from Heavenly Host. So let's follow our hearts now. If there's something we can do to fix this situation, then we have to do it. So, come on, let's do it. Okay. It didn't matter how improbable or even impossible this was. Even if there were only 1 in a million chance, we had to take it. It was absolutely foolish of us to try this. It was unnatural and unholy and completely inadvisable. But as long as there was that slight possibility, this was something that just had to be done. We weren't about to give up without a fight. I've heard that practitioners of the forbidden sorcery suffer even greater payback for their actions than black magic users. But this book wasn't written in Japanese, and I can't read the parts that warn about that. So, out of sight, out of mind, I can handle this. Great! This isn't quite the solution I had in mind, but as long as it lets us reunite with the friends we lost, I really don't care. Since they don't even exist in this world anymore, dragging them back by force seems like our only option. Every time I lift up my arms, it feels like my chest is caving in. Can she though? Probably not. Yeah, so let's just do it. Okay, how about we start with Suzumoto? We need a photograph for the spell to work, and I've got one of her with me. Alright. Our first attempt at resurrecting the dead was going to be a spell to bring back Mayu Suzumoto. All the materials we needed were present and accounted for in bottles and jars within the room. A beetle carapace, part of an animal's body, etc. The first step was to carve a pentagram into the floor with a knife, then place 3 paper dolls in the center, like the sort used in the Sachiko ritual. Let it fucking rip. The one in the middle would bear the name of the person we wish to raise. The ones on either side would bear the names of the casters, our names. Mayu Suzumoto. The class rep was then to place Suzumoto's photo on top of the paper doll dedicated to her. As for our paper dolls, we each had to blow on them 3 times, then cut both our palms with the knife and coat the spell materials in our blood. Okay, here we go. Be strong. Gross. My blood mixed together with the class reps in this white ceramic dish, forming one singular globule. I remembered hearing once that everyone's blood is slightly different color, and found myself thinking of this as I applied pressure to my throbbing palms. With all the setup taken care of, it was now time to chant the spell. Fortunately, these foreign words all had Japanese pronunciations written in above them. This was starting to feel crazy. I was sitting here listening to the class rep chant a magic spell to raise the dead, for goodness sake. I wasn't sure how much of a grip I had on reality anymore. What were we thinking, trying something like this? Would this really bring Suzumoto back? No, I had to concentrate. If I doubted the spell, then the spell would fail. For now, I had to believe that this would work, and I had no reason not to. The ritual took several hours to complete, with the class rep carefully chanting away the whole time. Finally, the last word on the last page was spoken. Class rep? Are you okay? Come on. Well, do you think it's going to work? Blood-red stains that looked almost like letters suddenly splashed onto the Book of Shadows, though it was unclear where they'd come from. What? No! If the book catches fire, we... The class rep quickly snatched the book away from the flame that had sprouted out of thin air. The photo of Suzumoto she set down had completely burned to nothing, but the paper doll below it was unscathed. So what does it mean? Does it mean we succeeded? Yeah. Shig, where are you? That voice was unmistakably Suzumoto's, and the two of us just took one another's hands and we just waited. Shig, where are you? Suzumo. I'd started to call out to her, but the class rep held up her other hand to stop me. Something's not right. What do you mean? She's walking in circles. After another few footsteps, we heard the unmistakable sound of a heavy safe door we'd left ajar opening up all the way. Then the footsteps resumed, and this time they were coming toward us. I'd instinctively shrunken back and frozen myself in place, afraid of the unknown presence approaching us from above. She was certainly in no hurry. Slowly, ploddingly, she climbed her way down the staircase. It was Suzumoto, all right. But her face was completely blotted out. Oh, no eyes, no nose, no mouth. Oh, they slid in another one for you. I couldn't tell if she was screaming or moaning, but either way she was clearly in agony. The sound was barely even human. It was a death knell. Our spell had failed. The Suzumoto-like being we'd summoned was lying flat on the ground, face up, writhing and spasming. There was nothing we could do to help her, nothing at all. As I observed those convulsions, I noticed rune-like symbols appearing over her body. And then, without warning, her paper doll burst into flames. As soon as it did, blood began spraying from each of the runes on her body like water shooting out of a fire hose. Damn. Her arms, neck, and thighs all separated from her torso, right where the runes had appeared a moment before, and the Suzumoto-like being moved no more. They all look connected to me. Ouch. The flame that had engulfed her paper doll was now completely extinguished, leaving behind nothing but ash. Don't worry, guys. She said she could handle it. Then the class rep fell to her knees as well. She was bleeding from her arms and legs, in the exact same spots as the Suzumoto-like being, and bore the same runic markings. Class rep! Rounded saw blades were now jutting out from the marks on her body. Why? Where had they come from? Oh god, it hurts! Class rep! It hurts! What is this? It's exactly the same death that this fake Suzumoto was subjected to. I'm going to die in exactly the same way. I've heard that practitioners of forbidden sorcery suffer even greater payback for their actions than black magic users. But this book wasn't written in Japanese, and I can't read the parts that warn about that. So, out of sight, out of mind. I can handle this. Yeah, guys, she can handle it. Babe, back. No, Nakashima, the paper doll, put it out! Hang in there, I'll have it out in no time. Just another few seconds. I tried putting out the fire by slapping the paper doll with my hand. I was so panicked, I couldn't even feel the heat of the flame on my skin. Go out, damn it, go out! Go out already, god damn it! It wasn't working. It wasn't doing anything. The fire just continued to burn. It's not going out, what do I do? No, please! Wasn't there anything else I could try? I looked around and I saw a paint can full of water nearby. Come on, work! I was acting on impulse. I didn't even think about what I was doing. I just threw the entire contents of the can right onto the flaming paper doll. Oh, they slid in another one for you guys. Don't worry, they got you all hooked up. They got one from each of the characters. Blood began spurting from the mark on the class rep's neck. The rounded saw blade from the desk earlier was digging into it for some reason. It hurts! No, I don't want to die! Save me! Class rep! There seemed to be no escape for us. We were destined to die here. This was our punishment for meddling with things no human should, for playing God. Mine was on fire now too. I was next. There was no fighting this. We were both going to die here. We were going to die horribly and painfully. Ayumi! Like an angel sent down from on high, our savior suddenly appeared. A woman, older than us, scrambled down the stairs, calling out the class rep's name. She leaped over the railing, practically dove toward the burning paper dolls. By the power of the guardian spirits, I cast out that which would do us harm. Where's Ash from the Evil Dead? I also have not seen that movie. Sis? The fire is out. I had no idea what this woman had just done, but whatever it was, it saved us. The flames were out and we were no longer in danger. And the class rep's neck, though gashed, was fully intact. Sis. She flung herself at this new arrival and latched on, tears practically exploding from her eyes. I guess this is that sister of hers I'd heard so much about. Sis, you came to save me. Why is that like lower quality and I can't click it? But how did you know where I was? Sis? Oh, what are we gonna do with you? Yeah, I know, right? What? No. Did her head just explode? quick recap of the game. What was that, dude? I have no idea. Damn. Well, that's just the end, I guess. But let me look up Corpse Party Blood Drive, because, like, I'll show you. It looks different. Is it on Steam? Why is it not loading on Steam? There we go. So I guess it is some of the original characters, but I'll show it. There we go. So yeah, so I guess it is some of the original characters, but yeah, see, it's like chibi. It's like all like chibi and weird. But we could play it. The text is all weird. 2 months after Corpse Party Book of Shadows. So this one's the conclusion, and then the other ones are like different stories. That's what it is. Because like there's all kinds of different ones. What the heck? Sachiko's Hysteric Birthday Bash. That's gotta be like a fan-made game or something. Sexual content? What the heck? Blood Dive is a sequel? I guess. That's what it was saying. I remember seeing like weird games that were supposed to be Corpse Party. But yeah. It's all like chibi. So yeah, we could try that sometime, but we are gonna do Cyberpunk next. That looks like a knife. Man, that's a lame-ass ending. To be continued. But yeah, we could play that sometime. But yeah, Cyberpunk is next. It did get voted next, so we do have to stick with that. But yeah, I'm gonna be done for now. I did 2 chapters. It was a weird ending. But yeah, this one, it doesn't even say it's done by Team Grigri, which is a bummer, because Team Grigri is the ones that's done the first 2. What the heck? There's one way of hope, however, an ancient tome known as the Book of Shadows. Tempted to use it, now the book has been lost, or has it, blah 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 blah. Well yeah, I guess we can look at that sometime. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and be done. It always loses the game when I do that. Well, thanks y'all for hanging out. I'm gonna be done, because I need to go lay back down. I'm in so much pain, and every time I move my chest, I'm like dying. It's all BS in the end. It really is. It is all BS in the end. I would agree with you. Have a good rest of your day, everybody. Bye, Miller. Bye, Beater. Bye, Emma, if you're still here. Goodbye.